Hello and welcome to the Penalty Box.
If you are firm and you are sure that you can move and you can score.
Hi, I'm Peter Clotty. Welcome again to the Penalty Box. Today in the Penalty Box, we'll look at the first round of matches at the ongoing World Cup in Brazil. And then we'll look ahead at how some of these teams are going to perform. As usual, I have my experts here, and together they will look at what chances there are for these teams to claiming the World Cup in Brazil. So experts, you saw the controversies, lots of goals.
Yeah.
I mean, what say you?
I think the most goals in an opening phase, well, certainly the 2002 World Cup at 130, this one 133 or something. I mean, amazing stuff. Lots of fun. Everybody's having fun.
Oh, yeah, the 10s, the playmakers, and so many teams have been so impressive. I'm one of the younger people here, and I can say that this is probably the best World Cup I've ever seen.
I'd endorse that. You know, in my household, we watch Barclays Premier League a lot, and it's fabulous. And it's a household of Arsenal fans, and they're fabulous. And many of them are playing in various teams at the World Cup. But British Premier League soccer is great on defense, so good on defense that there aren't so many goals. And I'm really enjoying this you know, punching away. I mean, my goodness, the offensive games. High-scoring, exciting games that we're seeing have been terrific.
But you know what this means? Also, Premier League, very exciting, lots of foreign players, and it means, yet again, England can't make it out of the first round. You know?
It's quite
England
sad.
Knocked out.
Right. You know, the other thing I was thinking about recently is the surprises that we saw at the first round.
Yeah.
I mean, some teams were tipped on paper to be the best. Portugal, for example, just fell flat.
Oh, they're
Spain, very sad.
But you know, let me tell you something, everybody. Spain, that was the end of the system, because at the end of the day, that system of passing that they use, you need a whole lot of focus and mental energy to make that work. And I think they just ran out of gas after all these years, after winning 3 tournaments in a row. You know?
Yeah.
They seem to have lost some focus. They seem to have lost some enthusiasm. And other teams have figured them out, that when you put them under pressure, sometimes they can crumble.
I think with the attackers, of course I'm a little biased, but I felt that there were a couple of attackers. David Villa, Torres should have been given earlier chances than they were in the World Cup. It was kind of too little too late. And Iker Casillas kind of fell apart, which was hard to watch if you were a Spain fan. But, I mean, the other teams just outplayed them, and the Netherlands tore them up. I would say that the Netherlands is probably one of my favorite offenses right now. What about you guys? Who's the biggest attacker?
No, it's typical Dutch football. I mean, it's attractive, it's offensive. By the way, kudos to Arjen Robben. Not just those goals that he's been scoring, but those setups, you know, those assists.
And Percy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that header. Oh, yeah.
But let us not forget that in Group G, that you had the group of death, some people said group of life. I mean, you had... if you look at the FIFA rankings, it was supposed to be Germany, Portugal, the United States, and of course, the Black Stars of Ghana. But then the U.S. beat their all.
Listen, let me tell you something. FIFA rankings aren't worth the paper they're written on. I'll be honest with you. They're worth any. You don't look at the rankings. I mean, you look at the way a team is actually playing going into a tournament. And I have to say, I'm not that surprised. I mean, yeah, Portugal, I think, were thought to be the second best team in that group. No one ever seriously thought Germany were going to crash out. No. But no, I think the U.S. earned their spot, you know. I mean, it wasn't pretty, that match yesterday against Germany. It wasn't pretty, that match on the last round against Germany, but, you know, they earned their spot.
And I don't think anybody's complaining with the low goal scoring that they had, because they were playing in such crazy weather.
Yeah.
I mean, just to get there, you had to go through rain this high.
But if you look at what is happening, the South American teams appear to be doing extremely well. I mean, they know the terrain, the weather is favorable to them. They're really giving people a run for their money.
Well, they also seem to have a home team advantage. All of them.
I know, right?
I mean, the people are coming from all over Latin America. Right. Clearly, there's a big audience from Colombia in that stadium, even though it's Brazil, and for some of the other teams, too. The other thing is the Latins are rooting for each other.
Yeah.
They'd rather have another Latin team win than someone from somewhere else in the world. So there's a lot of kind of crowd enthusiasm that you hear in the games for the Latino team.
By the way, no one expects the U.S. is going to win the World Cup, but weren't there something like 20,000 U.S. fans at the match against Germany, the third match? I mean, that talk about people traveling to see a team right there. You know.
Well, according to the records, apart from Brazilians, the U.S. had the most supporters in the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, wow, I didn't even realize that. Absolutely. I know we've broken records here in the U.S. watching the game.
Yeah, you know, 44% increase in the number of people who watch soccer in the U.S. That's quite amazing.
But you know, one of the Latin teams that we have not mentioned,
Yep.
Costa Rica.
Oh, beautiful.
How about Costa
Beautiful,
Rica?
beautiful.
What a surprise. I mean, Brian Ruiz, be still my heart. He can do anything with the ball when he puts his mind to it sometimes. It's really impressive to watch. I don't know. He's kind of been my favorite surprise. I didn't really expect him to do as well as he's done. And I don't know how they'll do moving forward, but it'll definitely be a game that I'm going to watch.
Moving forward, it's going to be quite challenging. Argentina, tipped to be one of the favorites of the tournament, appear not to be doing quite well. Apart from Messi literally dragging the team along, they appear to be quite disjointed.
You know, there are teams like that, they wait to put it together until the knockout stage. I mean, remember Italy in '82, they didn't do anything, they just barely squeaked through to the knockout stage, and then Paolo Rossi caught fire, and the rest, as you know, is history. So maybe that's what's going to happen to Argentina this time. And I have to say, some of the other teams that have done really well in the group stage, you know, we're talking about the Netherlands, the French, let's not forget the French.
Right.
You know, you wonder how long they're going to keep it going. Beautiful offense, but as soon as a good defense figures them out, you know, you got to wonder.
Now, looking at some of the controversies that happened, you had a couple of red cards, high starts with the, you know, the starts showing legs being munched here and there. Luis Suarez biting people here and
I mean,
there.
that's not a controversy. That's a no-brainer. You bite someone, you got to be sent off. I mean, you know.
But they forgot. They said it's a conspiracy against Uruguay. That's what they're saying.
Well, of course, they're going to support their player. And I was talking about this yesterday on a VOA podcast. With Suarez, I mean, this is a very psychological game. People sometimes need to be given a little bit of slack when you're running 90-plus minutes nonstop for pushing or, you know, tripping on accident or running into refs like we've seen this World Cup. But biting, I don't give you anything.
Nowadays everything's on video. It's all replayed in slow-mo. We can all see it. It's unmistakably offensive behavior by Suarez. I mean, let's face it. You know,
I mean, I don't know why anybody would defend them anyway. Now, I hear Liverpool is even considering whether to offload him or not because of his behavior.
Well, also because he's been banned for something like 4 months, and that's, of course, going to affect, you know, the start of the English Premier League season.
As well as the Champions League, too.
9 international games and 4 months of any soccer-related activity, which means technically he's not even supposed to be in the stadiums.
Oh, he can. He can. Now, the next round of matches, the 1/16, they appear to be quite challenging if you look at some of these teams playing. Now, Luis Filippo Scolari, the Brazilian coach, said that, well, if I were to choose any team, it wouldn't be Chile. So, and Chile had always given them a hard time during the World Cup. So, I mean, who do you fancy in the next round of matches?
Hard to tell. I mean, I mentioned the Netherlands and France. I mean, you know, with the caveat that they could beat a really good defensive team that's going to stop them. The Dutch seems to have a fairly easy path to the semifinals, potentially meeting Argentina in the semifinals. Listen, I mean, greatest respect to Mexico, but I think the Dutch should be able to manage that in the round of 16. You know, let's be honest. But the Dutch, the French, I mean, those are sides you really want to see advance because they've got such beautiful talent and they really had fun in the group stage. That's the other thing that's really important. You had the feeling those teams were having fun. Brazil, by contrast, yes, it's the home side. You want to see the home side do well, but they haven't really shown me much of anything, you know?
Right.
And Argentina. They've both almost been kind of sleeper teams. What about the U.S.-Belgium matchup?
See, some people I spoke with said, the U.S. should waffle Belgium.
No.
You know, the Belgians have quite a number of talented players, and they all appear to have matured at the same time.
Yeah.
Very potent force. Yet they have not been playing as a team, and that is the concern of a lot of connoisseurs of the game.
With the exception of Eden Hazard. I think he's been playing team ball as much as I mean, he's my guy. I think he's great, but he's had 2 assists so far, I think, this World Cup. He hasn't scored yet, and maybe that has something to do with not playing as a gelled team. But I think the U.S. has a really difficult matchup.
You know, it's doable. I mean, you're right. I mean,
I think it's doable.
Talent. Yeah,
tough, but
yeah, I agree. Yeah.
It's anybody's game.
It's a coin toss. Yeah, I can't say anything.
Well, I always say that, you know, in football, you cannot take your opponent for granted. because on a given day, some teams gel well, and they will be determined to say, we are not losing today, and you find yourself into trouble. So, David, tell me, which team are you supporting at the World Cup?
Hey, I'm the VOA director. I have to be for the United States of America, don't I?
Right.
But if we should be eliminated, heaven forfend. Actually, I was reading an article yesterday in the newspaper, and this guy, who's I guess a new arrival to soccer fandom, said, who should I root for? Well, if America goes, I'm going to root for Nigeria. And he said, I'll tell you why. Because of the happiness quotient. You got 173 million football-crazed fans in a country that, you know, is poor and has many difficulties and has a Boko Haram in the north and whatever else. They need something to cheer about. And you know what? They're not a bad team either. So he said, I root for them. And I guess I do too.
That's good to know. And, you know, Algeria is also pulling a few tricks here and there. I mean, who knows what will happen to them?
Yep, totally. No, very respectable side. They had a very impressive win against South Korea, I think it was, 3-1. So glad that they made it, you know, to the round of 16 after the heartbreak of 2010. Let me tell you something. US, I'd like them to do well. If they don't, I'd like the Netherlands to win. I mean, they're probably going to break my heart at some point, but, you know, as they do every 4 years, but they have the most per capita talent ratio of soccer talent in the world. I mean, I root for them every time.
Some people say they always get hiccups when it matters most.
Oh, yeah.
All right, this is about all time will permit us for today. I'm Peter Clotty. Bye for now.